sitting down here at Site B, checking my emails and looking through my phone, and our team kind of started talking about that a little bit, because this is a tool. It's an asset that we have in pretty much all of our pockets. And whether or not we have the newest iPhone or the newest, fanciest phone, odds are we all have some sort of a camera in our possession. It might be an old camcorder from 1994 or something, but we probably have some sort of a camera that has the capability of recording. So what we're doing on the range here at Site B today is something a little bit special. We have my friend Paul here, Black Iron Gunner, and Paul, we are gonna be doing a little bit different style video here. It's a little bit behind the scenes, guys. This is a little bit raw, but I introed this with my cell phone. So what we're gonna do here is take Paul and Paul's wisdom, and real quick plug for Paul, if you aren't following him, check him out on Instagram, Black Iron Gunner. Also has a training company, Black Iron Performance, where he trains people, and he's really super good at analyzing what people are doing. So that's what we're gonna be doing today with cell phones. So, cell phones are a powerful tool that we have in our pocket. And I'm gonna show you guys how we can use these tools to then analyze how we're shooting. And if you have a buddy on the range, like what we're doing today, I'm gonna be videoing Paul on my cell phone while he does his shooting, then we're gonna review the footage. If you don't have a friend that can come shooting with you, one thing that I would recommend that I've done in the past, back when I was shooting alone a lot, is purchase just a little cell phone tripod kit on Amazon, or just type it in on Google. You'll find something, 20 bucks. You can purchase yourself a little tripod. And real quick, while I'm getting this set up, one thing I want to tell you guys is most cell phones have the ability to record in a slow-mo version. And I would recommend probably using that, because what that's going to do is play it back super duper slow. And you're going to be able to see things that you might be able to work on. And the one thing I'll say is, you might need somebody else to kind of critique that depending on your experience. But generally speaking, if you watch what good shooters are doing online and you look at your own footage that you're getting on your cell phone, you're gonna be able to see, hey, they're very smooth, why? And then this slow-mo recording is going to allow you to do that.
Well, speaking of good shooters, real quick, another thing you can do if you don't have anybody, or you can't really analyze this yourself by looking at it because you really don't know what to do yet, send it to another shooter. I'm sure you follow shooters on Instagram. I've gotten tons of DMs where people have sent me videos of themselves and say, hey man, I'm struggling with this part of my draw or something there. I just take a look and I tell them, hey, see how your hands aren't moving together, or just give them little tips.
Yep.
And it's that easy. People will respond, and if you just send them the videos.
For sure. We used to do that with our friends group on Instagram. And that's one of the best parts of social media, I think, is you can create a friend group and then lean on each other. The other thing I'm going to say is I'm going to record everything in landscape. And there's a reason for that. Paul, stick your arms out real quick. So just visualize this with me. If I'm portrait right now, I can't see all of his arms. In slow-mo version on most cell phones, it crops in, which means it gets kind of a zoomed in effect. I would have to stand way back to be able to see Paul. And I'm not necessarily concerned about that. So I'm gonna record in landscape. So the first drills we're gonna run, and I'm gonna get my ear pro on, is we're gonna work on pistol draws. And this is something that as you get out and start shooting, you're gonna have to master. It's one of the most important aspects of breaking concealment, especially as a concealed carrier. Getting that good draw is gonna prep you for good engagement. So turning my phone sideways, I put it on slow-mo mode. My phone has 120 frames per second and 240 frames per second. I'm gonna run it in 120 frames per second. That means every second it's taking 120 photos, super slow. We're gonna be able to see a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna step back here to the point where I can actually see all of Paul. And Paul, I'm gonna hit record, and then you just give us a good draw, and then we're gonna analyze it.
Cool.
All right, I'm recording.
Camera's ready?
Yep, on the buzzer.
Here we go.
All right, and we'll stop recording. So we don't have to record a super long video here. And what you're gonna notice is when it plays back in 120 frames, it's super slow. So Paul, let's check this out.
Yeah.
So here we go. I'm gonna actually have to fast forward a little bit to get to the part where you're actually drawing. All right, so right here, buzzer goes off, you start your draw. So as you're seeing that, what are you what are you seeing? Like, what kind of feedback would you get?
Yeah, so definitely from the Slo-Mo, you can see what we want when we're drawing is not too much, less movement is better.
Yeah.
All right, so what you're seeing me do right there is kind of lean my left body. And the reason I used to do this, or if I see people do this, is they think it's going to give them more clearance on getting to the gun. All right, so they're kind of already coming to the left, all right, and they're not really moving their hands at the same time, especially right there. Also, if we go ahead and look, you'll see that the gun is actually getting caught up on my shirt. All right, one of the biggest things I see people when they're getting caught up like that, or they're not having a smooth draw, if you go ahead and look at my shirt down here, what I'm doing when I'm drawing my gun, if I were to do this and lift, that's about as much as I'm getting, as you can see. I'm not getting much clearance. But if I take these two fingers here and I pinch, you automatically see without even lifting my hand up that I'm already clear of the gun. So if I do both of those at the same time, you see my nice six packs there, you will see the gun be completely accessible to the draw.
Okay, so now you just analyzed your footage, you've got something to work on, you saw that you could smooth that out a little bit. Now what we're gonna do is refilm it. And you could do this 100 times. It's a growth thing. You're gonna be growing as you do this. But let's step back here again. And let's get this draw. Notice how I have Paul fully in frame on the screen. And I'm putting him positioned to the left side of the screen. The reason why is because his arms are long. I wanna make sure I capture all of this. All right, Paul, we're recording. All right, and recording. So let's review this real quick. Nice.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I noticed right away, and it's something that I actually noticed myself doing, I'll put this in my pocket for a second. When I first started shooting pistols, I draw and kind of like do a lot of upper body movement. What you'll notice is we're watching back this clip that we just shot. Paul's very much still. He's very much bringing that gun into his eyes, and you can see, I mean, just looking back, would you agree that was a much smoother?
100%.
Awesome.
And that's one of the biggest things that people do. They always bring their eyes down to the gun instead of bringing the gun to their eyes. And it's me, I tried to do it in that video, but from thousands of draws of doing it correctly, I didn't do everything I wanted to do, but it's so easily seen. Once you get the pattern down of the draw and everything, you watch somebody else's video, you'll be able to pick it out right away.
Yep, for sure. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is recoil management. And I'm not really saying recoil control. I mean, we're working with a gun exploding. I'm gonna record Paul doing a string of fire on this mini 8-AP target downrange. So why don't you give us 6 rounds?
Yeah, and I'm not even gonna go from the draw. I'm just gonna come out from the compress ready. I think that'll be a lot easier for people to see.
Get my phone out again. I'm gonna make sure that I'm still in 120 frames per second. It's just standard HD. In the top of my screen, I have the settings. If you're rocking a Samsung or something, it's probably gonna be different, but more than likely you have these settings.
Yeah, real quick if you can, Jared. I don't know if you wanted to bring the camera over here, what I like to see, or that's good there. Whatever you prefer.
I think from here, this will be, in fact, you know what I'm gonna do? On this particular one, I'm gonna stay pretty tight because I wanna see, essentially I'm envisioning a parallel line. I wanna see how you handle this recoil management.
Awesome.
All right.
Good?
I am recording.
All right, here we go, 6 shots.
All right, ending that video. So now 120 frames per second tells everything. What are you picking out as you're watching that back?
Yeah, my grip's breaking. After every 2 rounds, I'm readjusting, which means my grip's falling apart. And that's not good.
I also notice a lot of muzzle rise in that. So what do you normally notice? Somebody is getting out to the range and they're just trying to learn how to do strings of fire. What would you kind of pick up on, or what do you think you would see? Yeah,
relax that right hand. As hard as it is, you're gonna wanna grip the hell out of the gun to try to shoot flat. Everybody thinks, in my opinion, like a flat shooting gun is really good recoil control. Realistically, it's how fast it's coming back to the target. I really like a real big, solid grip on the support hand. Whether you're right-handed or left-handed, that support hand grip needs to be really strong. Also, a bit of pinky pressure. That pinky pressure is gonna allow that gun just to come back to target very nicely. We do not ever want the grip to break. If it is, something's wrong, you need to fix it. Nice and high up on the bore there, really gripping hard with that left hand. Really, the right hand, if you're right-handed, is just kind of holding onto the gun and pulling the trigger, not really squeezing that hard.
Okay. Well, you picked up some things to work on. Let's record this again and let's get a really solid run. Again, I'm gonna be pretty tight on Paul. All right, just hold it out at extension so I can make sure I'm in the right spot. All right, I am recording.
Here we go.
Cool. Let's check this out. Very, very nice.
Yeah, gun's coming back to target. I see my optic every time after I pull the trigger, not losing grip.
As you guys are watching this back, they're going to say that's a really flat shooting gun. You know what I mean? Like, they're just going to look at that and say, whoa, that's flat. And if we would project a parallel line across the axis of his bore, of his gun, you'll notice what Paul's doing is really driving that gun back down on target really quickly and efficiently.
Yeah.
That's one thing. You know, I'm going to throw a curveball. I know we kind of planned out what we were going to do.
I know exactly where you're going.
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Give me a flinch.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to do this at...
I won't even honestly have to give you a flinch. I'm going to come off of the compress ready. I'm going to pull the trigger as fast as I can until I get a slide lock.
Let me give you guys a little bit of a background what I'm trying to do here. Many pistol shooters, pretty much all pistol shooters, when you get out the first time, you start shooting a big target, like, oh, that's easy, I'll hit it, and you pull low left. And you start doing all this crazy stuff where you're like missing by sometimes 6 to 8 inches.
Ridiculously low.
Like crazy low. If you can record in 240 frames, which is what I just switched my phone to, you'll actually be able to see oftentimes that muzzle dip before you break your shot. And I want to see if we can replicate this. I mean, Paul's pretty good, so maybe we're not going to be able to, but... All right. I have it on 240 frames a second. Extension, I am recording.
Here we go. All right, what happened?
At the end there, I saw it.
Yep.
But one thing, you know, the other thing I do want to caution for people, and you've probably seen this, where a gun goes empty and someone breaks a trigger and they see them push the muzzle down.
Just
and there
like
is an aspect that you have to, there's no way around it. Guns recoiling, it's going to move. You're not ever going to fully stop a movement of a gun. We're trying to control it efficiently. So I'm trying to give caution a little bit because there is a time and a place where you might have a click and you see a dip.
And that's not wrong. I don't think that's wrong at all. I actually heard from a really good shooter, the best shooter one time on an Instagram live, that that's actually what you want. Now the problem is with most people, the timing's off.
It's actually dipping before you break the trigger.
Yeah, so you need to be breaking the shot and then bringing the gun back to the target. So all it is your timing. Like when my wife comes out and shoots, she does this all the time. There's nothing wrong with it. But eventually, in my opinion, one of the ways around it is just shooting more. That's how I got good at it. And that's when you're going to find your timing.
So let's watch this. This is crazy slow. Crazy slow. And again, at this point, if somebody would have been like right there, you can see that the muzzle dips a little bit. Do me a favor and give me, so you have an empty mag right now.
I do.
We're gonna do 240 frames again, really tight on the pistol. Try to give me a dip before a break. Like, let's just see if, I know this is gonna feel super weird and not something that we would typically try to go for, but what I'm hoping to do is that with 240 frames, you guys can kind of project a parallel line and see Paul's muzzle dip and the shot goes off. And it doesn't have to be crazy, but give us something a little exaggerated. I'm gonna be tight on the pistol. All right, I'm recording. Do one more. All right, I think we probably picked that up. So let's watch that back. So as we're reviewing that, I feel like Paul's just not gonna be able to break out of the habit of shooting good. But this is like hyper slow mode.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
It's really hard to do it. I'm hoping that you guys can visualize it.
What's gonna happen is if you have a target at 5 yards, real quick, sorry.
Yeah.
If you have a target at 5 yards and you're shooting literally 3 inches low at your target, what do you think is gonna happen when you go out to 50 yards with that shot?
It's gonna fall
You
apart.
are 6 feet below that target. I mean, it's that bad. But film yourself.
Yeah, filming yourself is gonna help point that out. So now let's move on to some of your transitions.
Cool.
Because at Site B, we just talked about this in a video where I was really kind of breaking apart transitions. I often fall into the thinking that I need to really break the gun back, transition, push out. And it's just wasted time is really what it is. I mean, I can make my hits like that, but you pointed out some efficiencies with how I could kind of speed up some of that. You also did that today on Site B with moving my feet, how to kind of prep my movements to where I'm going. But now let's come up over here so that we can get a good clean transition here. Paul, I'm gonna have you just between the C-Zone and the Mini ADAP.
Perfect.
We don't need to make it complicated. 2 targets. I'm gonna record you at 120 frames a second again. And then we are going to kind of dissect a little bit about how this transition's going.
Camera's ready?
I'm gonna hit record. Hold on 1 second, Paul.
All right.
I'm on 240 yet. Oh, another little tip for you guys, make sure your fingers aren't in front of the lens.
Hey, Jared, I'm gonna go 2, 2, 2.
Okay.
Okay? I
Yep.
think that'll
All
help
right,
out
I'm
a little
recording.
bit. Here we go.
All right, let's analyze this. So looking back at this, just give us some feedback. I'll fast forward to the point where you're drawing.
Yes.
All right, so you're putting your draw out, engaging the first target.
Yeah, so besides the draw, what you see if you're watching this right now, you're seeing 2 rounds go off. But what's happening after that is the gun is still on target when I have other targets to shoot. Yeah. So all it is wasted time. What I need after that is I need to come off that second shot, and basically some people ride the recoil, some people drive the gun. There's differences for both. There's times to do both. But I need to basically, what I like to call it, just ride the recoil over to the next target. And all I'm doing is just letting off, and this is getting a little bit more advanced, I apologize, but just letting off the gun a little bit and actually letting the gun take me there instead of me take the gun there. It's a little bit easier, it's a little bit faster.
All right. So
but I'm sitting on the target too much. All right, I'm wasting time. After that first shot comes up and comes back to target, that second one goes, I need to be going over to the next target. I don't need to be doing this.
What are some key indicators for somebody that, we often hear that you should kind of look to where you're shooting?
Yes.
Because it's some of this stuff is very minute. You're picking out some little tiny bits. I mean, as you're a new shooter, I think it'd be very obvious. You're gonna see stuff very obvious. Maybe you're progressing a little bit. How could they tell for sure that their transition, they have wasted time?
Yeah, so I would just literally go to the videos that you're doing, your last shot, and maybe if you have 3 targets set up or even 2, what's your gun doing after your last shot? So let's say you do 2, just like I said. Make sure that gun, after that second shot, call your shot, know where your dot land when you pull the trigger of your front sight, and let that gun go to the next target with your eyes, and then shoot the next target.
Yep. So
don't sit on it too long.
It should feel seamless. So
yes.
In other words, if I shot and I went boom, 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 it's a little choppy. I probably could boom, 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 and
yes.
ride that recoil like Paul's
yes.
talking about. That's something I'm personally working on
yes.
a lot. But let's do a good one. Let's see if you can burn this down. And I'm gonna record this again.
Yeah, the best thing to do with that is just get your eyes onto the next target. After you start doing that, it'll really help you kind of move over and start transitioning the gun better.
All right, this time I'm gonna stay a little bit closer to Paul. I would like to see if I can pick up on the phone exactly what he's doing. So I am recording, Paul.
All right, here we go.
So just from running that, how did that feel versus the first one?
Much cleaner. I actually felt like I saw a lot more, and I want you guys to try to kind of think about seeing all the targets instead of just seeing one. That'll really help you with the target transitions.
For sure. So we're watching this back. I was a little closer to you to get a little bit different angle so that we see the pistol coming up. We got the first shot, second shot. Right away,
yep.
As soon as that recoil happens, you can see Paul's muzzle is already on track for that other target. Checking the other second shot here, boom. And honestly, probably right there was a little bit of a pause, but we're watching it at 120
frames. And I also am shooting a smaller target, which means I need to kind of, but yes, you are always gonna be fine. The gun's always gonna beat you. That gun is gonna recoil faster than you can move the gun, so the gun will win every time.
Yep. So another skill here that I thought would be good on camera. It'd be something that you could really analyze because there's a lot of movements. It incorporates the draw. It incorporates multiple rounds. That would be reloads. So I'm gonna try to position myself in a way that I can see the front of Paul. And that's hard. Obviously, I don't wanna be downrange or you're pointing guns at me. You gotta be really careful when you're doing this stuff. If you're around people that you don't trust, obviously take that into consideration. I trust you. I'm gonna be up here a little bit off to your right and probably a little bit lower angle.
All right.
And I'm gonna try to gather some intel on your reload. Let's just shoot the Mini ADAP again.
Cool.
Just downrange at about 10 yards. So we'll see if I can get this. Let me get into position, Paul. Actually, I'm gonna move closer, John. Let me get it on slow mode. All right, I am recording.
All right, here we go, guys.
All right, end the clip. Okay, Paul, let's check this out. Just from a bird's eye view, I can
Ethan,
tell.
one round at 9mm, please.
Yep, actually.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, we're good, dude.
All right, let's check this out.
All right, so right away here, I got this low angle.
I actually like that angle.
It is pretty sweet.
All right.
You know, the other thing, I'm gonna throw this little plug out here. Here, just dump them in my hands. We keep Ethan around to load us up with
Fix things.
and fix stuff. The one thing, I was gonna say about this is you could also flex to your buddies on Instagram with your slow-mo shots, you know, post up a video or whatever. But yeah, we're watching the draw. I'd say kind of like overdid the shirt almost a little bit, but
I don't think you can ever overdo the shirt.
Yeah, that's true.
I honestly believe you don't think you can ever do it. All right, so what you're seeing here with the reload. One thing I'm doing is I'm bringing the gun down to the ground and trying to reload closer to my mag. There's no reason to do that. All right, we keep our eyes up, our bodies up. We come down, we clear the shirt, we get our mag, we bring it up to the gun. We don't bring the gun down to the magazine.
Yeah, you can clearly see that as I play it back, that there's just a lot of movement. You even bend over.
I even bent over.
So you're moving all of your vertical aspects of your body just to get down to this plane. So let's give a really solid, and Paul, I know you're good at reloads. Okay. Let's give a burn down reload. I'm gonna get low down here on the ground again, and we'll talk about it.
Can't promise anything too sexy.
I'm gonna tilt the camera kind of at this Dutch angle so that we can get a lot more. All the camera nerds are now like, yes. All right, I'm recording.
All right, here we go.
Cool. Let's head over here and talk about it. So right away, I can tell you just watching that, much smoother, much smoother. Draw looks good, comes right up on target, fires, pulls the gun into your eye level really. Not a lot of wasted movement. Mag in, drives gun.
Yeah.
So how would you critique that?
Yeah, so if I were somebody else watching this video, there's a couple different ways you can bring... Clear gun?
Yep.
Clear. Topple check. Clear. There's a couple different things you can do. Some people like to reload the gun right here. Some people like to reload the gun farther out here. Some people like to do it here. I like to kind of do it right here. All right, but that's the only thing I would see and automatically think like, okay, let's check. Is this smoother? All right, after doing thousands of reloads, that's my area. That's where I know the gun's gonna be and how I like to reload it. But that would be really the only thing. You see me come down immediately after I feel that slide lock. I'm coming down with my support hand instantly at the same time dropping that magazine with my right hand. So it kind of looks like this.
Yep.
All right, after I grab that shirt, like I said, once again with that grip, lift up, all I'm doing is kind of pinching against my stomach, grabbing mag, inserting mag, and fire. It's that simple. Reloads are one of the easiest things you can get good at because you can do them at home all the time.
Dry fire.
When I worked night shift, plowing the streets and stuff, at break time, I would go in and hammer like 2 hours. If it wasn't snowing, 3 hours of dry fire reloads. That's how you got fast at it.
For sure, and also you can record yourself in dry fire too. I mean, you can pick up all this stuff. You're obviously, the live fire aspect is going to give you the explosion, the recoil impulses, the stuff you've got to work with that are dynamic, but you can do that dry fire work at home and really get a lot out of it. So realistically, this video, what it is just kind of a behind the scenes showing you guys how to run with a cell phone. And I know that we just scratched the surface a little bit, but Paul, would you generally agree that we have a tool in our pocket that you can utilize to become better?
That thing is a mini computer, man. They do so much. Not even for just posting your own photos and videos on Instagram, but just the recording alone and just going back and watching them.
For sure.
That's what I did. It's exactly, that is literally what I did.
That's how a lot of us started out. That's how a lot of us got better at shooting. So guys, you have tools at home. It could be a GoPro, it could be a cell phone, it could be an old flip phone. It doesn't matter. Yeah, there might be some limitations in the frame rate. If you don't have 120 frames per second, shoot it at 30. It doesn't really matter. The slow-mo is definitely going to help because it slows down that track and allows you to really analyze and dive deep. But at the end of the day, guys, we just want to see you get better. We want to get better. And this is a tool that can make you a better shooter. So definitely use it, get better.